Spoiler warning. I'll be talking about the 4th episode of Black Rock Shooter Downfall in this video, and if you haven't seen the episode yet, then I suggest you watch it first and then come back here. Okay? Okay. So we first see David's daughter Charlotte, in which by the end of the episode we get to learn her name, see her just heading towards her cute aircraft as she is being sent by Smiley to capture Black Rock Shooter. I just gotta say, was it really necessary giving us a full fan service shot of Charlotte in her underwear? Like, Jesus, I gotta ask, who is this catered to? I still think her design is pretty cool and all, but did they just had to force the character to go and do fan service for who knows who? And I'm not exactly liking that. We then follow our group as they arrived at a peacekeeping base, and we just see the soldiers all lining up outside waiting for them. We also get introduced to Volt here, a new character who'll be joining the group for a while it seems. As the men cheer for joy to finally have with them the weapon that can end Artemis's reign, I just love Empress's confused reaction here. It really helps, gives us more depth to her character, as she is just learning to understand what and how humans do or react. So it's a nice touch there. We then learn that things aren't looking good and that they only have a month left before the orbital elevator is complete. The Colonel then tells Volt that Empress has been shaken due to the events of last episode, where she just witnessed a bunch of girls' deaths and was unable to do anything about that. She also gets to learn Smiley's name here, the person that caused all those deaths in the last episode, and that itself drives her to seek him out at some point. Afterwards, Volt enters Monica and Empress's tent as he explains that David has lost his wife and daughter to the educational institution. But we, the audience, of course know that his daughter is alive and is now heading for them as they speak. Volt tells him this because as soon as he knew that Black Rock Shooter is unsure on what to do, he wanted her to know that the Colonel himself has also been carrying scars, or at least something similar to that. We also get to know here that Volt sees him as his father, and I find that pretty cute. As soon as he leaves the tent, Empress wants to take a break, but Monica simply asks her whether she wants to have sex. And of course she doesn't know anything about that, as Monica then explains to her that it's an act of love. She brushes Monica off and immediately goes to sleep. When morning came, everyone was ready as they make their way towards Artemis's orbital elevator. As they were traveling, we get to see how David really misses his lost wife and child as he watches over a picture of him, while Empress simply sees him doing it as well. DEADMASTER is then seen in the distance watching over Empress, ready to open fire and pull the trigger. She then calms herself down and proceeds to head towards them. The other soldiers start picking her up on the radar, and she just immediately dives into their formation and stays right next to Black Rock Shooter. I love how she's acting all friendly with her here, as if the events from last episode didn't happen at all. I also find it pretty funny as DEADMASTER explains that everything she's done was an act of love, but the very first thing she questions was whether or not she meant sex, since Monica explained earlier that sex is an act of love. It's a really funny scene to me, not gonna lie, especially seeing DEADMASTER's silent reaction, then sounding furious as Empress then points to Monica as if saying, "Yeah, she taught me all about that last night." As if she was a child pointing to the one responsible for learning a bad word for the first time. And we just see Monica's confused look on the situation as DEADMASTER was swearing. It was really funny. It was a really funny sequence to me. DEADMASTER then explains emotionally that even without Artemis and her unmanned troops, humanity would still continue to destroy themselves. And she's not entirely wrong about that. She then transitions into her crazy side where she says stuff like she'll be the only one to kill Empress, and that before she does kill her, she'll pleasure herself with her corpse and proceeds to touch herself. It was so cute seeing DEADMASTER act kindly around her, asking permission for her to die by her hand right here and now, as if she was asking for a toy or something. She's just adorable. But as Empress rejects her offer, she starts heading towards a good spot for her to take Black Rock Shooter out. I also love how she whines about it while heading towards the area. Just as she was about to shoot, an unidentified aircraft arrived and fired missiles towards her. David and the others are just confused on what's happening, as he then yells out to switch to anti-aircraft fire. And of course they all miss their shots. So the entire sequence here is basically the aircraft wrecks everyone but our main heroes, as she dodges every bullet without even getting a scratch. A few seconds later, we see Black Rock Shooter on the ground as their attacker personally came towards her, stepping on her, saying how weak she is, and yet Smiley wants her alive. As David was about to open fire, he notices their attacker's identity. It was his daughter. He was confused and devastated of the situation in front of him. DEADMASTER then appears and I thought, yeah, we're gonna see her do something cool. But then she fires and she loses an arm and a leg, and also gets kicked around by Charlotte. As she was beating the now defenseless DEADMASTER, it seems Black Rock Shooter remembered a bit more of her exchange with Artemis here. When her flame died out and Artemis saying everything is basically useless, she grabs hold of her leg and swears that she will kill her, and that she wouldn't give up as her flame ignites even brighter than before. Just as Charlotte was about to kill DEADMASTER right there and now, she notices Black Rock Shooter from behind. She was charging up her main cannon, and just as she was about to shoot, David yells and that causes Empress to miss her shot. I also love how she reacts terrified as soon as she notices her weapon has been annihilated and simply runs away. David chases right after her, and we just see Empress walking towards DEADMASTER, hugging her and telling her that she doesn't want DEADMASTER to die. An act of kindness despite her trying to kill them twice, and that touches her. We then see David calling out to Charlotte, but she wouldn't even look at the man she used to call her father. She flies away and we just see DEADMASTER unconscious and placed behind the back seat. As Monica was fixing their vehicle, we then see that only 6 men are left and Bolt was one of those surviving characters, by the way. Empress then asks David why he couldn't shoot, as he then explains that was his daughter. We see him confused and just in pain to know his daughter was now an enemy they had to face. Empress simply says that they must pursue her since she's important to him, but Monica then states that they don't need to chase her since she'll be chasing after them. She then told him that he needs to talk to her, ask her what happened, and if communications fail, she would do her best to try and capture her without killing her. After hearing all of that, they then continue their destination towards the orbital elevator, and the episode ends there. So this episode was really just surprising to me. We get to see David's reactions to seeing his daughter still alive. If I am being honest, it didn't feel as tragic to me for some reason. I guess maybe because their interaction was short and we only get to see him in pain for like 2 moments. But either way, I love everything about this episode. DEADMASTER asking kindly to kill Empress is very cute. Sayori Hayami really did an amazing job at giving life to DEADMASTER. There were some jokes that were good, although like I said earlier, David's reactions to his daughter still alive was very lacking to me, but it's fine either way. And Black Rock Shooter's character trait here, where she would help anyone in need, is still present. After knowing that David's daughter is still alive, she chooses to find a way to capture her by not killing her so they can figure something out. I really appreciate that. The continuity of her character is still very present and I can see that. So if I were to rate this episode, I would give it an 8 out of 10. It's not really my favorite episode, but it was still able to make me enjoy watching it. I'm pretty sorry this video came out late. I was so busy with school between the last 2 weeks and up to this day. I am still slowly catching up to everything, so I hope you guys would understand, and I'll be seeing you guys next time. See ya!